You gave your AI agent a clear task. It understood the requirements. It started building. Then the session reset, the context evaporated, and the next time you opened it, it came back building something completely different. Not because the model failed, not because your prompt was bad, but because the moment that session ended, everything you agreed on just disappeared. The agent had no memory of the plan, so it filled in the blanks however it wanted. And you spent the next hour undoing work that should have never been written in the first place. This is not a rare edge case. This is the daily reality of building with AI coding agents. And it does not get better the larger your code base gets or the more sessions you run. It gets worse, because every new session is another opportunity for the agent to drift further from what you actually intended to build. The fix is not a better model. The fix is not a longer prompt. The fix is a missing layer that most developers have never heard of. And in this video, we are breaking down exactly what that layer is, how it works, and why it is already one of the fastest growing developer tools on GitHub right now. If you're new here, this channel is all about AI tools, AI agents, open source projects, and everything happening in the AI space right now. From breaking down frameworks that actually change how you build to finding the tools that the broader community has not caught up with yet. That is what we do here. So if any of that sounds like your thing, go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And if this video saves you even a couple of hours of chasing down agent drift, dropping a like takes 1 second and it helps a lot more developers find this content. AI coding agents are genuinely powerful. The ability to describe what you want to build and watch an agent write real, working code in seconds. That is not a gimmick. That capability is real and it is only getting better. But there's a fundamental problem with how almost everyone is using these tools right now. And it has nothing to do with the quality of the models. The problem is where your requirements live. For most developers, the entire plan for what they are building exists in one place, the chat history. Your instructions, your architecture decisions, the edge cases you talked through, the approach you agreed on, all of it is sitting inside a conversation window. And the moment that session ends, it is gone. The agent does not carry any of that forward. It has no persistent memory of what it agreed to build. So the next session starts from a blank slate, and the agent does what it always does when it has no clear direction. It makes things up. This is where the term vibe coding comes from. The agent improvises based on whatever context it has in front of it. While the chat history is intact and the session is fresh, that improvisation can feel impressive. The agent seems to understand what you want. It moves fast. It produces code that looks right. But the second that context resets, improvisation has nothing to work from. So it guesses. And those guesses compound across sessions until the output has drifted so far from your original intent that you're spending more time correcting the agent than you would have spent writing the code yourself. And here's the part that rarely gets talked about directly. This is not a problem you can prompt your way out of. Writing a longer system prompt does not solve it. Giving the agent more examples does not solve it. Because the issue is not that the agent lacks capability. The issue is that it lacks a contract. Nobody ever gave it a clear, persistent, structured definition of what it is supposed to build. There is no document it can reference that says here are the requirements, here is the design, here is what done actually looks like. So it improvises every single time. And the gap between what you intended and what it delivers grows wider with every session, every feature, and every developer added to the project. The bottleneck is not the model. The bottleneck is underspecification. And the answer to underspecification is not a better prompt. It is a spec layer. A structured, persistent, version-controlled source of truth that the agent can read, reference, and build against every single session without relying on chat history to carry the context forward. That is exactly what OpenSpec is built to be. OpenSpec is an open-source spec framework that captures what you are building, why you're building it, and how it is supposed to work before your coding agent writes a single line of code. It was built by Fission AI, a Combinator W26 company, and it has grown to over 45,000 GitHub stars in under a year, making it one of the fastest growing developer tooling repositories in the entire AI coding space right now. The core idea is straightforward. Instead of letting your requirements live and die inside a chat window, OpenSpec gives them a permanent home inside your repository. When you initialize OpenSpec in a project, it creates an OpenSpec folder with two distinct parts that work together. The first part is the spec library. This lives inside OpenSpec/specs, and it is exactly what it sounds like, a structured, organized library of markdown documents that describe how your system actually works, broken down by capability. Not how you think it works. Not how it used to work 3 sessions ago. How it actually works right now, with requirements written in clear language that both you and your agent can read and act on. This is living documentation that stays inside your codebase and gets updated every time a feature ships. The second part is the changes system. This lives inside OpenSpec/changes, and it is where all active development happens. Every feature you build gets its own dedicated folder inside that directory, containing everything relevant to that specific change. The proposal, the technical design, the implementation tasks, and a set of delta specs that capture exactly how the requirements are going to shift once the feature is complete. Nothing gets mixed together. Every change is self-contained, reviewable, and traceable. The reason this structure matters is context persistence. When an agent starts a new session, instead of reconstructing intent from chat history, it reads the spec. It knows how the system works because that information is sitting right there in the repository alongside the code. When a new developer joins the project, they do not need to schedule a knowledge transfer call or dig through old pull requests trying to piece together why decisions were made. They browse the spec library and the picture becomes clear. Context does not disappear when a session ends or when someone walks out the door. It lives in the repository, versioned and permanent, exactly where it belongs. And critically, this is not another tool that locks you into a specific model or IDE. OpenSpec works with over 25 AI coding assistants, requires no API keys, no MCP setup, and installs in under a minute. It is completely agent agnostic, which means whatever tool you are already using, OpenSpec slots in without asking you to change how you work. Now that you understand what OpenSpec is and why the spec layer matters, let's get into how you actually use it. Because the workflow is where everything clicks together. OpenSpec ships with a core profile by default that gives you 5 commands: propose, explore, apply, sync, and archive. There's also an expanded profile available for teams that want more granular control, with additional commands like verify, onboard, and bulk archive. But for the vast majority of what you will build day to day, the core flow is what you need. And that flow follows a clean, logical sequence that mirrors how good engineering thinking already works. You plan first, you build second, you close it out properly. Propose. Every change starts here. You run the propose command with a plain description of your idea. Just write what you want to build the same way you would describe it to another developer. And OpenSpec creates a dedicated change folder with everything you need to review before a single line of code gets written. That folder contains a proposal document explaining why the change is happening and what is changing, a specs folder with the requirements and scenarios, a design document laying out the technical approach, and a tasks file with a broken down implementation checklist. Worth knowing if you have seen older OpenSpec tutorials online. The propose command is a newer addition that handles full proposal creation in one single request. The old workflow required running 2 separate commands to get to the same place. The current version does it all in one shot. This phase is where you engage with the plan. You read the proposal. You check the requirements. You push back on the design if something feels off. Because misalignment caught here before the agent has written anything costs you 10 minutes of conversation. Misalignment caught during code review costs you hours of rework. Apply. Once you have reviewed and approved the proposal, you run the apply command and the agent begins working through the task list one item at a time. The key difference between this and a standard agent session is what the agent is working from. It is not improvising from your chat message. It is not reconstructing intent from context. It is executing against a document that it helped create and that you explicitly approved. The output is more predictable, more consistent with your architecture, and dramatically easier to review. Because instead of trying to reverse engineer what the agent decided to build, you're checking implementation against a known plan with a known outcome. Sync. When the tasks are done, you run sync before closing out the change. This is the step that does the semantic work. OpenSpec reads through your delta specs, the documents that captured exactly what was going to change, and merges those changes into the main spec library at the requirement level. The sections marked as added get added. The sections marked as modified get updated. The sections marked as removed get cleaned out. Your main specs now reflect the actual current state of the system, ready for the next session, the next developer, or the next agent to pick up and work from without any loss of context. Archive, the final step. The change folder moves from the active changes directory into the archive. The work is on record. The spec library is current. And the next feature starts from a system that is fully documented, fully understood, and fully ready for whatever you build next. That is the full core loop. 4 steps that replace the most expensive failure mode in AI-assisted development. The agent that drifts because it had nothing real to work from. Most people who discover OpenSpec focus on the workflow commands. The propose, the apply, the archive. And those matter. But there is one concept underneath all of it that makes OpenSpec genuinely different from just writing a markdown file and dropping it into your prompt. And that concept is the delta spec. When you run the propose command and OpenSpec creates your change folder, part of what gets generated is a set of delta specs. These are not your main specs. They're not the full picture of how your system works. They're interim documents that describe specifically what is about to change, and they do it using a clear, structured marker system that both you and your agent can read without any ambiguity. Every section in a delta spec is labeled. Requirements that did not exist before are marked as added. Requirements that are being updated are marked as modified. Requirements that are going away are marked as removed. That is it. No complex syntax. No special tooling required to read them. Just a clean, human-readable document that makes the scope of a change instantly understandable to anyone who opens it. And that clarity is what changes the review process entirely. Think about the standard way most teams review AI-assisted work right now. The agent finishes a feature, opens a pull request, and now someone has to read through potentially thousands of lines of code, trying to piece together what actually changed and why. That is an exhausting process, even for experienced engineers, and it gets harder the larger the change gets. Delta specs flip that completely. Instead of opening a pull request and trying to reverse engineer intent from implementation, you open a 2-page markdown document and you understand the change in seconds. What was added? What was modified? What was removed? The reasoning is right there. The scope is right there. There's nothing to dig for. This is why teams that adopt OpenSpec often describe a shift from code review to plan review. The review happens earlier when the Delta spec is generated and before the agent writes anything. That is the moment where feedback is cheapest and changes are easiest. And because the Delta spec is written in plain language rather than code, it is accessible to more people on the team. Not just the engineers who can parse a diff, but anyone who needs to understand what the system is doing and why. And when sync runs at the end of the workflow, those Delta markers are not just labels anymore. They become precise instructions. OpenSpec reads them at the requirement level and merges exactly what changed into the right place in your main spec library. Nothing gets duplicated. Nothing gets missed. The main specs update cleanly, and the living documentation of your system stays accurate without anyone having to manually maintain it. That is the real power of the Delta spec. It is not just a planning document. It is the connective tissue between what you intended to build, what the agent actually built, and what your spec library reflects going forward. Remove it, and you are back to improvisation. Keep it, and every change in your code base has a traceable, reviewable, permanent record of intent. One of the strongest things about OpenSpec is that it does not ask you to change your tooling. It meets you exactly where you already are. Whether you're building with Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, GitHub Copilot, or any of the other agents in the ecosystem, OpenSpec has a dedicated integration for it. And right now, that list sits at over 25 supported tools and is still growing. When you run OpenSpec in it, the first thing it does is scan your project directory for existing tool folders. If it finds a .claude folder, it knows you're using Claude Code. If it finds a .cursor folder, it knows you're on Cursor. It pre-selects the tools it detects, so setup is already aware of your environment before you answer a single question. Then for each tool you select, OpenSpec installs 2 things, skills and commands. Skills are markdown files the agent reads to understand the OpenSpec workflow. Commands are the actual /commands you trigger directly inside the agent interface. Every tool gets both structured and named exactly the way that specific tool expects to find them. Claude Code gets its skills dropped into the .claude/skills directory, and its commands into .claude/command/opscs. Because Claude Code natively reads from the .claude directory as part of its context loading, the spec library and all workflow commands are available the moment a session starts. No manual injection. No extra setup. The agent already knows where to look and what to do with what it finds there. Cursor gets skills in .cursor/skills and commands in .cursor/commands. Cursor already has a rule system that developers use to shape agent behavior inside the IDE. OpenSpec builds on top of that. So instead of just behavioral rules telling the agent how to act, it now has a full living spec library telling it what the system is actually supposed to do, combined with a complete workflow for proposing and implementing changes through Cursor's own native command interface. Codex is the one exception in terms of where the commands land. Codex commands do not install into your project directory. They install into the global Codex home, the Codex_home/prompts folder if that environment variable is set, or /codex/prompts if it is not. What that means in practice is that once you initialize OpenSpec with Codex selected, the workflow commands are available globally across every project you open in Codex, not just the one you ran the init command from. It is the only tool in the list that behaves this way, and it is worth knowing before you go looking for the command files in your project folder and wondering why they're not there. GitHub Copilot gets skills in .github/skills, and its commands generated as prompt files under .github/prompts, following the naming pattern that Copilot expects for custom /commands. These prompt files are recognized natively by the Copilot IDE extensions across VS Code, JetBrains, and Visual Studio. One important caveat here, Copilot CLI does not currently consume these prompt files directly. The integration lives at the IDE extension level. So the full OpenSpec workflow runs inside your editor, not from the terminal. OpenCode gets skills in .OpenCode/skills and commands in .OpenCode/commands. OpenCode uses markdown files in that commands directory as its native custom command system. So the OpenSpec commands drop in and behave exactly like any other OpenCode command. Same invocation, same format, no friction at all. Antigravity gets skills in .agent/skills and commands installed as workflow files inside .agent/workflows, following Antigravity's native workflow format. This means OpenSpec plugs directly into Antigravity's agent orchestration layer without any adaptation. And given that Antigravity is built around autonomous multi-agent execution, where multiple agents may be working through parallel tasks simultaneously, having a persistent spec that all of them can reference is arguably more valuable here than in any single agent tool. Every agent in the pipeline is working from the same source of truth at the same time. Beyond these 6, the full supported list includes Windsurf, Gemini CLI, Klein, Code, Code, Amazon Q, Coder, Augie CLI, Code, CodeBuddy, Costrict, Crush, Factory Droid, iFlow, and more recently added tools including Kiro from AWS and Pi. Every single one of them follows the same pattern, a dedicated skills folder and a dedicated commands folder, named and structured to match exactly how that specific tool already expects to find things. And the thing that makes all of this genuinely useful rather than just impressive on paper is what happens when you switch tools. You do not lose anything. Your spec library is tool agnostic. It lives in the OpenSpec folder and has nothing to do with which agent reads it. So if you move from Cursor to Claude Code tomorrow, you run OpenSpec init again, select the new tool, and every spec you have ever written is immediately available to the new agent. The investment you made in building out your spec library carries forward completely. No migration, no reformatting, no starting over. Before wrapping up, it is worth being direct about who OpenSpec is actually built for, because it is not the right tool for every situation, and the people who build it are upfront about that. If you're building quick prototypes, running one-off scripts, or working on something small enough to live inside a single session, OpenSpec is probably more overhead than it is worth. The spec layer adds a planning step before you build, and for a small isolated task, that planning step may cost you more time than the spec ever saves you. The framework is designed to be built up incrementally as you work, not generated all at once up front. So if your project is small and your sessions are short, you're likely fine without it. But if you're working on a real code base, something you return to across multiple sessions, something with architecture decisions that need to stay consistent over time, something that other people are also touching, OpenSpec is the missing piece. The value of the spec layer compounds directly with the size and age of the codebase. A project with 3 months of sessions behind it and no persistent spec is a project where every new session starts with the agent guessing a context it does not have. A project with an OpenSpec library is a project where every new session starts with the agent reading exactly how the system works and what it is supposed to build next. It is also worth naming something that the OpenSpec documentation itself calls out directly. Specs only work if you engage with them. If you run the proposed command, skim the output without really reading it, approve it immediately, and move straight to apply. You are not using OpenSpec, you are just adding steps to vibe coding. The tool works best when you meet it halfway, when you read the proposal and push back on what feels wrong, when you check the requirements against your actual intent, when you treat the spec as the contract it is designed to be rather than just another generated artifact to click past. The developers building solo on complex projects, the small teams trying to keep agents consistent across contributors, the engineers who have already felt the pain of a multi-session codebase drifting away from its original design. That is exactly who this was built for. And for those people, the spec layer is not extra work. It is the thing that makes the rest of the work actually reliable. Here is where everything lands. AI coding agents are only as good as the context you give them. The model is not the ceiling. The spec is. And right now, most developers are running powerful agents against nothing. No persistent requirements, no structured plan, no source of truth the agent can actually build from. Just chat history that resets and a hope that the next session picks up where the last one left off. It does not. And now you know why. OpenSpec is the layer that closes that gap. It gives your agent a contract to work from instead of a conversation to improvise around. It keeps your requirements version controlled and alive inside the repository where they belong. It makes every session start from a position of clarity instead of reconstruction. And it does all of that for free without locking you into a specific model or forcing you to change the tools you're already using. If you want to try it, the link to the GitHub repository is in the description. It installs in under a minute and works with whatever agent you're already running. If this breakdown was useful, drop a like. It genuinely helps more developers find this content, and it takes about 1 second. Subscribe if you want to be here when we cover the next tool the community has not caught up with yet. And if you have already been using OpenSpec or you are planning to try it, drop a comment below. I read them, and I would actually like to know how it is working for you. That is it for this one. See you in the next video.